Is this investment too good to be true? My mom bought an annuity and I'm a bit confused.
Okay.
Jinkies. These are complex things, aren't they, Chris? Annuities.
Annuities are extremely complex insurance products. Let me say that for again. Annuities are extremely complex insurance products. They have investment components to them, but annuities are first and foremost an insurance product.
And with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get right into it. Howdy, Fi Guys. I'm reaching out for some insights and advice on a financial decision my mom made recently, and I would love to get your thoughts on it. Here's a bit of context. My mom's 73 years old, that is, and she has been very cautious with her finances. She's a retired school teacher. Congratulations, that's awesome. Who spent her entire career diligently saving and living within her means. Recently, she decided to invest a significant portion of her savings into an annuity. This was a big decision for her, and she took this step after consulting with a broker, I think. The annuity she invested in has some features that sound almost too good to be true. And that's
Uh-oh,
where the
here it
concerns
starts.
come in. Here we go. To give an idea, her product, keyword product, her product provided an immediate 25% bonus. That's pretty good. I like that. I like that. I wonder, do you think the bonus is paid straight to her or just into the fund?
It's definitely not paid straight to her. I'll
Damn.
talk about that.
Damn, I was like, man, if I invest 100,000, I can get a quick 25 grand and they get the anyway.
I,
All right.
I, I, I have not read this yet, but I have an idea of where it's going, so I have a lot to think about this.
All right, let's continue. Let's continue. Let's see. To give an idea, her product gives her an immediate 25% bonus on her initial deposit. On top of that, her investment grows at a rate of the market 2.5x, essentially. If the market goes up 4%, her investment grows by 10%.
Okay,
This,
so just to clarify that,
hmm,
based off what the person told her mom, whatever the market does, the annuity will multiply that by 2.5 times. So the market goes up 5%,
mhm,
she's going to get 12.5.
mhm.
Market goes up 10%, she's going to get 25%.
Sounds very
That
leveraged.
that is how the person maybe sold it to her, and that is what the mom understands
Mhm.
the product is doing. Let's continue to hear if that's true though.
Okay. The safety net here is that if the market performs poorly or goes down to negative, her investment doesn't lose value, but instead earns 0% for that period. It sounds like a fantastic deal, but as someone who's a bit skeptical by nature, I'm worried that there might be some hidden fees or catches that aren't immediately apparent. Over the past decade, we've seen some incredible performance in the market with increases of 25 to 30%. Happens when you go into a world pandemic. Um, this
It
makes me
happens. What
wonder.
happens when there's quantitative easing to the level that we've never seen before? It had nothing to do with the pandemic. It had to do with quantitative
I mean,
easing.
they printed hella money because of the pandemic, though.
I guess that's true. Yes.
Okay. I gotta find myself a win in there somewhere. Okay, so this makes me wonder, how is this such a generous return structure? How this generous return structure is sustainable without some significant trade-offs. Next week,
I'm gonna cut you off real
go
real
for it.
quick.
Lock in.
So one thing I think people think about with annuities and all investments is they're like, oh well, especially with these annuities when they get sold, they're like, well, this person like wants to help me. It's an insurance company. Their goal is to make money.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing like they're not giving you free money. They're not going to lose money on a product. They might lose money on a little bit of a product, but they have the law of large numbers to know that as some people phase out, some people are going to phase in.
Yeah.
Insurance is to make you whole, not to make you rich. Continue.
You know, it's interesting. When you think of like a good little business that they're looking out for you, I think of like a little grandma bakery, right? You go into the bakery, I forgot my wallet. Oh, have the muffin on the house, honey. It's fine. These insurance people, they're like sharks. They are
Mm-hmm.
only in it to make money. I mean, everybody here probably has been in a car accident, a fender bender, or whatever. Try getting them to give you some money. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Oh my gosh. My dentist had an easier time pulling a tooth. Genuinely. So, getting back to the story, next week I'm scheduled to meet with her broker to get a clear understanding of how this entire process works. I'm also worried because the broker is likely to pitch me the same product. As a
Oh,
38-year
great.
old male, I assume, I need to be
It's
sure
a female. I've
it's a
already
female.
reached out to her. It's a female. Yeah.
Okay, it's a female. Okay. Um, as a 38-year-old female, I need to be sure that this is a wise investment for my age and my financial goals. What I really need is your advice on specific questions I should be asking to the broker specifically. Are there any particular red flags or fine print I should be on the lookout for? And do you have any experience with this type of annuity? I want to make sure I'm fully informed and prepared before making any decisions. Thank you in advance. From Market Gains Double or Hidden Fees Trouble, should I invest with cheer or is this something to fear? I like that. That's a nice one.
That's a
I
good one.
like that. So we got a lot to talk about on this one.
We really do. This one might take a while. Okay, Dominic, first off, when you hear about this annuity, what do you think? Like, as someone who doesn't really know annuities super well, like when you hear that, you're like, all right, what do you think about that?
You know, it's like a pendulum, right? So on one hand, you hear the 2.5% market X return, right? You hear the 25% bonus. I'm getting excited. I'm getting giddy. You know, it's like a first date, right? I'm getting amped, right? On the other hand, I've heard the nightmares about a first date, right? Where there's good, there can be bad. When someone promises me the moon, what are we talking here, right? So what I'm more worried about is like what exactly like this viewer, what don't I know? I'm afraid of what I don't know right now, especially stepping into an arena, uh, like her and her mother, uh, they're just unfamiliar with. So it's definitely, I'm feeling a little bit more fear than excitement right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
And I like that you said that you feel more fear than excitement. I think there's a lot of people. This is the way that I look at it. This is the way that I explain to my clients because I've sold annuities before in the past, and I still do it every so often. But the way that I tell my client is, if we're going to do an annuity, it's either a hell yes or it's a no.
Yeah.
Listen to your gut there. If there is something that's fear, if you don't understand something 100%, get the hell out. And with that, I want to tell a quick little story. So
Perfect.
Dominic, you know this person's name, so we're not gonna mention it on the podcast at all. But
Yeah.
when I first left my old firm and I decided to go out on my own, and this was before I even created Mons on Wealth. This was like me out on my own as an independent advisor. I worked with an estate planner, and this estate planner, she would go ahead and bring people in and charge them a very low amount for a trust to get done in Arizona. And here in Arizona, you actually don't need to be an attorney in order to make trusts. You only need to be a certified document preparer. And that's like a 4-hour class. So really anyone can do it, given that you're willing to pay for the certification and pay for the software. So the way that this person would make money is they would sell a cheap trust. And then once they had all of your records, all of your financial statements, they would tell you that your finances are a mess and that what you should do is buy an annuity from them. I wanted to pose that this estate planner was acting as a fiduciary when they were doing the trust. But the moment that they were done with the trust and they started selling them quote unquote investments, which were insurance products that were annuities, they were no longer acting as a fiduciary. Even though they would make the claim that they're a fiduciary because they were acting as a fiduciary as your estate planner, but not as a fiduciary as the broker. Now, I don't know to our listener if this broker is acting as a fiduciary or not. I don't really like to speak negatively on people, but I do know from firsthand experience that there are people in this world that will sell annuities to people that should not have it at all. And I have seen, unfortunately, people who have spent their entire lives to save up money to retire to be taken or bamboozled by someone who did not have their interests at heart and then took them down a wrong path that wrecked their entire retirement. So the reason I say this is if you have any fear, if you do not understand the product and it is not a hell yes to this annuity or to this insurance product, then it should be a no.
Yeah.
If the person can't explain it to you, it should be a no. I will tell this person, and I already have because I reached out to them. I saw this come through and I knew we had to put it on the podcast, and I've already reached out to them because they already had their meeting. I will tell them I'll tell you guys exactly what to ask if you find yourself at the side of the situation. But first, I want to explain what's going on with this annuity. because this is really, really important for people to understand.
Okay.
So the first thing is our writer says that as far as she knows, there are no fees. And while the annuity may not have explicit fees, all annuities do have implicit fees. So the way that insurance companies make money is the spread between their investment income and their hedge budgets. So you are getting fees charged within the annuity. Every month, every year, whatever it is, it's getting charged. It's going to be taken out of your growth. So you are definitely getting charged a fee. Also, that broker probably got a 7 to 10% commission right up front for selling you this product. And commissions aren't bad. I don't think commissions are always bad because they're putting in work. Things are all good. But if you have investment option A, which could be invested in the market, and if you're a broker and you can't even manage money, but you can call yourself a financial advisor because you can sell an insurance product, or you can go to a fiduciary like myself or like thousands of other RIAs and say, hey, I have this annuity. Should I do this or should I do something else? The broker can only sell you the annuity.
Yeah.
They only have a hammer. And if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like nails. Versus an RIA or a fiduciary advisor who has the ability to manage your money. They can invest the money. They can look at an annuity if an annuity is right. They can look at a myriad of different other options. My license allows me, and other fiduciary licenses allow me to tell you, Dominic, I think the best investment for you is a donkey. Regardless of what
donkeys.
it is, I could tell you to do whatever it is. That's how widespread my license is. I can do really whatever the heck I want to do. So that means I'm going to do what's in the best interest of you on the long term. But again, an RIA, they can say, okay, we can either do the annuity, we can do this, we can do that. There's so many different options. But the broker only has one option. It's the annuity. And they're going to push you that option really, really hard because they have the gains to make 7 to 10% commissions on that. And it continues to scale up. So it could go even higher, depending on how quote unquote good they are at selling. So I know this person said that their mom put a significant amount of money. So I don't know what significant means. Let's say it's $100,000. That means this broker was incentivized by either $7,000 or $10,000 to make this sale.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that there might be perverse incentives here, right? All right.
Feels kind of gross. It feels like I need to take a shower after that. Like, I don't want to, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not against commissions, right? Certain forms of commissions, that is. But something like that doesn't sit right with me.
Well, again, it just comes down to, are there other options that are posed?
Mm-hmm.
If there are other options outside of the annuity, like, hey, this is the annuity, you can do this, or you can do investments, you can do this. Here's the upside of the annuity. Here's the downside. Here's the upside of the investments. Here's the downside. Client says, I want the annuity. Cool. My hands are clean. I told you both options. We're going to go that direction. But if you don't have the other option, the only option you have is the annuity, then obviously this broker is going to be incentivized to sell that annuity. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, you should probably go get your money managed by some other person that I can't help you with. All right. So we've talked about that. There are going to be fees in there. And then there are perverse incentives. The next thing I want to talk about is the 25% bonus that you asked about. So in annuities, and this is going to be a little confusing, so please try to stick with me as best as you can.
Okay.
There are two numbers that are growing within that annuity. One is the face value. The other one is the income value. Okay. So two numbers Simple are growing, enough. Right? So when she put her, let's say $100,000 in, the face value, the amount of money that had her mom said, you know what, I regret what I did. I want to take this annuity away. And annuities are always for a distinct amount of time, whether that be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It depends on the annuity. Mm-hmm. So if the mom said on day one, hey, you know what? Or not after day one, actually, after day 30, because you have 30 days to quit it. But on day 31, she says, hey, I made a mistake. I need my money back. Okay, then that 25%, that didn't go to the face value. You're not getting that. And since you purchased this annuity, your surrender fee is going to be, if you cancel it on year one, usually somewhere like 20%. So out of the $100,000 that we gave you, we're going to give you back $80,000 for making that mistake. That 25% of that $100,000, so that $25,000 went over here to this bucket, the income bucket. So this income bucket only works if you decide to eventually turn this annuity on and annuitize it, meaning that you're going to use the annuity as a lifetime income stream. Annuities like this annuity that this person is talking about, is not used for growth. It is used for an income stream in the future. Annuities, again, are insurance. Insurance doesn't make you rich, it makes you whole. The insurance that you are purchasing with an annuity is longevity risk, meaning that I'm going to outlive my money. So I want to buy an annuity that regardless if I die on day one of turning on the annuity or day, so either if I make it to day, if I turn on the annuity at age 65 and I only make it to 66, I got paid. If I go from 65 to 100, I'm getting paid the same amount every month or every year or every quarter. Does that make sense, Dominic?
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. So that's very important to think about with annuities. That's what you're purchasing. So that 25% is not going to come to her in the form of a check. She's not going to get anything like that. That's going into her income balance. Well, I just thought of another thing that we need to talk about afterwards. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
is in my memory, did she say that anything about like the mom wanting to leave this to her or anything like this or what this
No,
was
she didn't
for?
say anything about her leaving it.
Okay. I wonder what this would be about. Let me talk about that. So if this person was to pass away, because this mom is 70, and if she's buying an annuity now with a 25% bonus and all this stuff, unless she's going to turn on the income rider in like a year or so and have that continue to pay out for the rest of her life, this might be a good product. It might not be a good product. I don't know on the situation. But what I find is a lot of people who are in their 70s and their 80s start thinking more about legacy. And they're thinking about how can I leave my kids the best amount of money that I can in the most tax efficient way. And unfortunately, a lot of brokers will start to sell these because they say you get the 25% bonus that also goes to your kids. But again, there's the face amount and then there's the income amount. The face amount is what goes to your kids, not that 25%. That only goes to the income generating amount. So if she was planning on leaving this to her kid's only going to get whatever she's going to get from the annuity, which is the face amount, which is only going to be growing at whatever the specific index it is tracking is. With that, let's get into the index. She said that they had a 2.5 multiple on the market. So there is no 2 times multiple. It's called a cap or a participation rate. She has a participation rate of 250%, meaning if whatever index is tracking goes up 1%, she gets 2.5. 2%, she gets 5. What everyone thinks, and which you thought too, partially correctly because it makes intuitive sense, is the market means the S&P 500. For these annuities, the index that it is tracked to is not the S&P 500. They'll tell you you get a 2.5 times on the market, but they're not telling you what market they're tracking. So all annuities have different indexes that you could base it off of. If there is one that has 2.5, I guarantee that it is not the S&P 500. I guarantee it is not the American stock market. What it probably is a vault controlled index that is going to have very little volatility and very little growth. So every year your mom might be able to get, if the index goes up 1 or 2%, great, she went up 2.5 or 5%. While the market might have gone up 20, 30, 40%. But it's okay because look on the bright side. If it goes down, she's going to get a 0. And that's where these become so scary, is that some people, she got sold something, probably thinking it was something completely different, that I'm going to get, oh, if the market goes up 30%, that means that I get 2.5 times 30%. That sounds amazing. But that's not the market that it's tied to. It's tied to a completely different index.
Yeah. That is. Oh, wow. That's not very transparent. I didn't know that.
So again, if it's not a hell yes for an annuity, then it is a no. If a financial advisor or a broker cannot answer all of your questions, you don't feel 100% good about this, hold off until you do. Keep on asking more questions. Keep on finding out. I'm not saying that annuities are all bad. I use annuities for my clients. I used one recently for a client. We do that all the time, but it's for the right situation. You really need to figure that out, what's right to you. So
And
thinking
quick
about
question.
that, go for it.
I don't want you to lose your train of thought, but in what situation would an annuity be the right move, right?
I'll tell you about a client of mine. So I had a client that we just did 2 annuities for at the beginning of the year. He retired recently. So he just retired a few months ago. And his investment account, when you apply the 4% rule, if take 4% out for the rest of your life, he retired at 65.
Mm-hmm.
if he could look on the calendar, oh, Chris, I plan on dying on this day
Yeah,
at
yeah,
82 years old. Then
yeah.
I'd be like, all right, perfect. We'll withdraw this amount of money. But he doesn't know that. I don't
No.
know what age he's going to die at. I have to assume he's going to live to 100
Mhm.
at least. So if with his investment account, let's say it was $100,000. That means every year we could pull out 4,000. We could pull out 4%, $4,000. $4,000 is not enough for this person, not
No,
enough for this person to live on.
no.
But I could maybe get an annuity where I can say, okay, John Smith, we get this annuity and we turn on the income of when you retire or after a year or whatever the distinction was. Then instead of taking out 4%, we use your $100,000. The insurance company is going to guarantee you can take out $8,000, or they're going to guarantee you can take out $6,000 for the rest of your life. Here's the rub on that. If John Smith, my client, starts that annuity, he's going to start taking $6,000 or $8,000, depending on what the annuity is, depending on how good of a job I did on finding the right thing. Remember, it's still more money than he would have been taking out had he taken the $4,000 option, the safer option, or the riskier option. If John Smith dies 1 year later, where does that annuity go? It goes all back to the insurance company. They get to
Hmm.
keep the remaining amount of money.
Hmm.
But if John Smith, to that calculation, if he makes it to 82 years or 86 years old, 87, 88, 89, up to 150 years old, whatever amount of number, that insurance company has to continue to pay out that $6,000 every single year. And that is where it is effective. When we don't know, we're trying to protect against longevity risk. Outliving your money, that's what an annuity is good for. Outliving the money.
So, you know me, I'm a little bit of a creative thinker.
Go for it.
Let's say I walked into the casino, I hit the lottery, whatever. I come into 200,000, right? I got 200,000 cash.
Mhm.
Obviously, you never hear about a 20-year-old getting an annuity. I
Yeah,
don't think it's
unfortunately,
ever been done.
no, it does. Brokers do it all the time and it's
R-
wrong.
Really? Okay. So if I could get, let's see, so his was 100,000, get 100,000, he gets 8,000 every year. If I had 200,000, I get 16,000 every year. Why
No,
wouldn't I? Why
no, no,
that's not
that's
how
not how
that
that
works?
works.
Not
No,
how that works. Okay.
that is a really good question, though, Dominic.
Okay.
I know that what you're thinking is because you're like, okay, well, if he's getting
Mhm.
$6,000, then I should be able to get $6,000. The reason that client's getting $6,000 is because that client is 65 years old. All annuities and their income base is based off of an actuary table based off when you are statistically likely to die. So most annuities also have a somewhat of like a health screening. Do you smoke? What's your weight? What's your age? Stuff like that, because they need to have a rough estimate as to when you should die. So
Mhm.
you, Dominic, with this same exact situation at, I don't know, how old are you, 20 something?
24.
At 20 something,
Yeah.
if you went ahead and you kept the annuity, you said, I want to turn on the income stream, I put my $100,000, cool. Every year we're going to give you $200.
What a scam. All right. Well, worth a shot. Worth a shot. I had to at least ask because logically
No,
it made sense. But again, it's like that one thing that the our viewer was talking about. It's what don't I know? What are the
yeah.
questions that I need to ask? Thank you for answering that one.
And that's important. Unfortunately, the people that get sold annuities that are in our age group, 21, 20, 30s, young millennials
Mhm.
like us,
Yeah.
people that are geared for this podcast, they're the people that are getting into this. And that would scare me. That's the reason I actually reached out to this viewer because they said they're meeting with this person because they're 38 years old. This annuity is an income based annuity based off the things that I know about it. And I don't know which annuity it is. I don't know what carrier it is. There are a myriad of different carriers, myriad of different products, thousands of different ones. I have no idea which one it is. But based off of that bonus and then the 2.5 multiplier, I knew that it was an income. I know that from experience. So I had to tell this person like this probably isn't right for you because they can get a much better return minus the fees if you just invest in the S&P 500,
Yeah.
invest in an index. So
Yeah.
let me go ahead and talk about the questions that I told this person to ask the broker.
Please.
And please, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm in this situation, write these questions down. And if you don't feel 100%, if it is not a hell yes, then it is a fucking no. So sorry to get explicit. I get very upset because these people are the people that give my job a bad reputation. And
Yeah.
they're also the people that have screwed over too many people that I have seen in my life who I've tried to help after the fact, after meeting this type of person. So First question is we want to go over fees and expenses. So questions to ask on this is, what are the total fees associated with this annuity? Are there any annual management fees, administrative fees, or mortality and expense or risk charges? How do these fees impact my overall return on my investments? Second thing, we want to ask about surrender charges. Surrender charges are very important because that says how long until we can take our annuity back. Because the insurance company is keeping that for a certain amount of time. You are pledging them, annuity company, whether that be Nationwide, Allianz, whatever. I'm going to give you $100,000 for the next 10 years. For those 10 years, I get the performance of the market, but I don't get that downside. After that, I can take all my money back, or I can roll it to another annuity. I have a bunch of different options. We can talk about that later on. Surrender charges. Are there any surrender charges associated with cashing out early? Typically there are. You should know them. You should know what the table is. Number two, what surrender charge schedule is and how long does it last? With most annuities, say you have a 20% surrender charge if you pull out and you have a 10-year annuity. On year one, it's 20%. If you take it out, you put $100,000 in, you'll get $80,000 back. On year two, it's 18. Year three, 16, and it goes down to year 9. If you pull out, you lose 2%. So you need to know that before you go into it. Because if you're going to pledge your money that a 73-year-old may very well need in the next 10 years, depending on how the structure is, could really screw her over. The fact that it's a 25% tells me that it's probably either a 10 or a 12 year. A 25% bonus tells me it's a 10 or a 12-year annuity. Mm-hmm. Just off my anecdotal experience. That's an anecdote. You could probably find a product that's different. I'm just telling you that's probably a 10 or a 12.
Gotcha.
Next thing we need to know is rate, cap, and spread. So is there a cap rate? Meaning if the index goes up 7%, is there a cap as to what I can get? So the cap rate would be like, if we're doing the S&P 500, we're going to cap you at 3% or 4% or 5%. And they don't tell you that kind of stuff. So you're thinking, oh, the market went up 30%. That's awesome. Well, guess what? You're capped at 7. So you went up 7. But if the market goes down 0, you stay at 0. That's where the nice part of the annuities are. But they do have a cap on them. So you need to know that. Is there a maximum amount of money my mom could be given in a year? Number 2, is there a participation rate that might be limiting how much market returns are credited to me annually? Sometimes you can get participation rates that are low too. It's the same thing as a cap rate, but it's calculated differently than a percentage. Mm-hmm. And then is there any spreads? So is there a percentage that's deducted from my index return? There could be a cap rate, a participation rate, or a spread. And each index inside that annuity could have a different one of those 3. And I understand, I'm so sorry that it is complicated. These are extremely complex subjects, but that is why you need someone in your corner that you trust. And like I said, if it is not a hell yes, then it is a no. Number 4, you need to get bonuses on this details. So I asked the person to ask this, is my 25% bonus fully vested immediately or does it invest over time? And then are there any conditions to which I forego my bonus? Basically what I was trying to get at is I wanted to see if this broker was going to tell them that you only get the bonus in this bucket, not in this bucket, and you only get this bonus if you stay in it for this amount of time. Mm-hmm. Because I guarantee it is that. It is not you get a 25% bonus. Here's $25,000 in a check.
Yeah. You can dream, as I was earlier.
The next thing you need to know is market performance calculation. So how exactly is the market performance calculated and credited to my annuity? What particular index or set of indexes is this annuity tracking? Because like we said, if you get a 2.5 times multiple on the S&P 500, that sounds really freaking nice. But I guarantee it is not that. And so you need to know which index in specific and what is the historical returns that this one does, because I need to know that. And then what happens on extremely volatile market years? What should I be able to expect with this? With those indexes too. Then there's some questions about guaranteed minimum risk. I don't want to keep this going on indefinitely, but I asked her to continue to do guaranteed minimum risk. I asked her what are the payout options for the annuities. I gave her questions for tax implications. And then I also gave her questions about the company and the product of the reputation. Because what if the annuity company that you purchased your annuity through is not in good financial strength? What if you gave a financial company $100,000 thinking that, okay, doesn't matter, like they're guaranteed, and they go bankrupt?
Yeah.
what happens to that $100,000? You need to make sure that you're working with a reputable company, because while they do have insurance coverage on the money that goes into these annuity companies and insurance companies, you don't want to go through the headache of your annuity company going bankrupt, because that's going to stop your income stream if that's the reason you're buying it for.
Yeah. And you're going to lose all your money.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then how long has this particular annuity been in the markets for, and what are its performance histories? So you want to know that kind of stuff too. So there are a lot of questions you need to ask. You need to have 100% knowledge that you feel good about it. And I'm really big on like trusting your gut. And just like you felt at the beginning after you read this through, Dominic, and I said, how do you feel about it? You said, it sounds good, but something in my gut is telling me no.
Yeah.
After everything I told you, what do you think about this annuity now?
Dude, I wouldn't, me personally, 25-year-old, I'm good. I'm good. There's other vehicles I can go with that make me feel comfortable, that are a lot
But
simpler.
I'm sure, Dominic, I know you know a lot about finance, but I know
Mhm.
I'm also very good at being able to sell something if I have to.
Yeah.
And I know a lot more about finance than you do.
Yeah.
Could you see a world in which I was able to tell you 2.5 times all this stuff and you take that annuity and buy it from me?
Dude, I can think of a lot of people that would go for that. I can
Yep.
think of a lot of people. All you got to be is a
And
charming salesman and present all the good stuff and hide the and shelter the bad stuff.
it's scary, right? Like that's where trust
Very.
comes in, and that's where, and like I'm sure you would probably, because you're a smart guy, you would feel there's some sort of a gut inkling of like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't
Yeah.
know. But if I do a good enough job and you're in the right state of mind, you just might go for it and sign the paperwork, and then we're good to go, you
Mhm.
know? And is anything that broker said a lie? No, they're telling the truth. You do get 25% bonus. You do get a 2.5 times on your multiple. You do get all of these things. That they're not lying to you, but they're not telling you the full truth. And that's the really, really scary part, especially with finances. So if it's not a hell no, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And if you really need help, please reach out to a fee-based or a fee-only fiduciary advisor to ask these questions to, because you want to, I always think it's important to go to someone who can sell you both an annuity or sell you manage money or sell you none of them.
Mhm.
That's why I do everything that's fee-based. Even if I'm meeting with clients, I don't manage only annuities. If someone has an annuity, I'll give you some information, but you're not going to be my client. I'll tell you what to do, but you're not going to be my client. I'm going to send you off somewhere else. Because if I don't have your full financial picture, I can't make the best decisions. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a dude. That's a scary place to be in, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe it's for the best for the 73-year-old teacher.
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe she sold it for the right thing and everything.
Yeah.
But for the 38-year-old, based off what I know, it probably isn't right.
Yeah.
But only she can make that distinction. Hopefully she's going to ask the questions that I asked and we're going to go from there. But again, if you're ever concerned, if you don't know what to do and you don't know who to reach out to, I may not be your financial advisor, but I am willing to at least talk to you and give you these questions or at least hear you out.
Mhm.
And at this point in my life, I will not charge people for that. Like if they reach out and they're a member of the Fi Guys podcast, they say, hey, I heard from you from the Fi Guys, and they want to reach out for that stuff. I am willing to put myself out there to like help them walk through these things with them.
Yeah.
Because I've seen too many people get bamboozled out of their life savings or be put into a product that was not right for them because they did not have the full understanding as to what they were getting into or what the opportunity cost was had they done something else.
Yeah.
Because again, if all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thankfully she said that she's very skeptical. She's a skeptical person. She's always been that. So hopefully she comes in with her skepticism up. And
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad to. After I talked to her, and I think I don't think there's much of a chance she's going to buy it, especially after she asked those questions. My guess is that person's going to be like, okay, never mind, or is
Yeah.
going to stammer through it and not know it.
Yeah.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth.
The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.